Hey everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana, you're in my corner, and I have a very special guest with me today who might transform at any moment. It's Neil Kaplan. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, hello. I guess maybe what I should say to any of the anime fans who might be out there where they might recognize me from, I just simply say, Hawkman Digivolve to Optimus Prime. And there you go. That kind of covers it for those uninitiated few or many, whatever.
I think that worked out perfectly because we have a chat actually where our users interact during the interview, and many of them have names right now. They changed their names to Hawkman and added, what their online nickname is. So I'm sure they got a kick out of that.
Right on. Well, that's one of the nice things is, gee whiz, 12 years later or so, starting to meet a lot of fans who are coming to conventions and saying hello and readily admit they were Digimon fans and still are Digimon fans. And that was a show I really liked to do. It was a fun cast to work with. The characters were certainly silly and fun enough, at least the ones I got to play. And it was certainly a good time in my early career, so I remember it fondly, and I always liked meeting the Digi-fans, as we call them.
And, looking back, because I had a few people send me clips of the voice, you actually got to be sort of like a British owl kind of type of voice, and then you get to transform into this big, big voice. Was that a lot of fun to do?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I pride myself on my versatility more than almost anything. So not only voicing Hawkman, but all the derivations, whether it was Halsamon or Shuramon or whatever name I can't remember right now, Mon. I did them all. And that was really a lot of fun, and developing alter egos for that fun little bird was a blast. And, of course, yes, I won't deny that perhaps Hawkman's voice may have been a little bit based on a certain legendary owl from the 1970s, that would be asked about how many licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. But, of course, Hawkman took off on his own because he had a different personality and certainly a lot more episodes than Mr. Owl. But, yes, they are certainly in the same genus and species, I would have to say. They're in the same family.
Well, that's actually very interesting. I specifically had someone ask me how that voice came about, and now we can relate it to a Tootsie Pop.
Well, it was a little bit that, and I remember being brought in for it, and they just wanted something kind of, reluctant and snobby, and it's just kind of where it came out, and then it got pointed out to me later, the old 1, 2, 3, and sir, it wasn't that far to Hawkman. But, of course, like I said, Hawkman is Hawkman I always thought of as kind of a British butler who's been in the family for quite a long time. Maybe, oh my gosh, I was trying to think of the name of the TV series that was on in the 80s. The British butler with Bob Uecker, but now I can't remember. People are going to fly to IMDb and they're going to figure it out, and I'm going to look stupid. Oh well, maybe I'll remember later. Anyhow,
if it makes you feel better,
please.
I wasn't born yet, so I can't tell you.
God, no, that does not make me feel better. How in the world is that supposed to make me feel better? No! Oh my gosh. Anyway, so let's pretend that didn't happen and move on.
Okay, let's move on. Now, obviously, you do a lot of transformation sequences in Digimon, but you also have a show that you're known for where you transform into a giant robot. How is that?
Well, obviously that was a blast. When I took over the role, I was the way I figure it is people may or may not be Transformer fans, but people know the name Optimus Prime, and maybe one of the 25 most recognizable heroic icons around the planet. That's pretty huge. I only got to do it for a year. That's pretty much why some fans and even myself kind of refer to me as the George Lazenby of Transformers. George Lazenby was the second actor to play James Bond after Sean Connery, and he only got to do one movie. All the other Bonds got to do more movies. He only got to do the one. So we're kind of the same in that respect. But you know, at this point in time, it's a credit that they can't take away from me, and I'm awfully proud that I played it. And of course, it was again an iconic moment in my life. Because our show, where I played Optimus Prime as not only a robot but also a fire truck, it was the first time, as far as I know, that Optimus Prime really was a full-time hero. You know, no disrespect, you know, to the hardcore Transformer fans who may get upset at this, but let's face it, in his off hours in G1, he was a tractor-trailer delivering stuff, you know, allegedly, according to the mythology. But mine was a fire truck, so when he wasn't saving the planet, he was saving his neighborhood. And our show premiered on Saturday morning, September 8th, 2001. And I think we all know what happened 3 days later. And so being the voice of a giant heroic robot and also a fire truck took on a new meaning. And as a matter of fact, there was even a gentleman who was a firefighter who changed his name to Optimus Prime, and he and I are still friends to this day.
That's very amazing that you actually remember the date and everything.
Well, it's kind of hard to not have it seared into your brain after September 11th. You know,
that's true.
You know, that was a big weekend for me. I mean, I can pretty much tell you a lot of different things about that weekend. There used to be a charity function for the voiceover community every 2 years, and I do believe that was Saturday, September 8th, 2001. And then on Monday, I was at another charity function for the Jewish Big Brothers of Los Angeles, of which I was a member at the time, at the House of Blues on the Sunset Strip. And I remember looking downtown and just thinking how amazingly cool and clear the night was, and you know, and of course waking up the next morning and everything changed.
I can definitely see where you're coming from. I still remember where I was, and I at the time was in 5th grade, so that's sort of, you know, it's an insane moment.
Yeah, and of course, you know, like I said, you know, playing a fire engine at the time, I got my fair share of email from frustrated fans who didn't know where else to write or what else to say, and we had to, or I shouldn't say we, the producers had to edit some of the shows before airing because of violence that was similar to what had happened, and they didn't want to air those episodes intact. One, I believe, even had 2 towers being destroyed by the Decepticons, and they kind of went, no, we're not putting that on Fox Kids, thank you. And I can't say that I blame them.
Now, I'm curious, you got all these letters and whatnot. Was that sort of comforting to see all these people sort of coming together just to talk to a fire truck?
Not really comforting. It was frustrating because most of them were pretty much, you know, and I'm sure people were writing to Marvel Comics and to DC Comics and to other voiceover actors. I mean, they were basically saying, out of their frustration, if ever there was a time that a giant robot heroic robot were real, yesterday or Tuesday would have been the day, you know. And I'm sure plenty of people wrote to other heroes, if only Superman were here, if only, you know, Spider-Man. And superheroes are a wonderful idea, you know, but hopefully what they do is they inspire us to be the real heroes that matter, like the gentleman, like I told you, who's a firefighter who now is named Optimus Prime. I mean, he's a real hero. He goes into the fire. He served in Iraq for years as a fire support unit. I mean, for crying out loud. He's one of the reasons, if I can just deviate a little bit, that I founded a nonprofit that is now a federal 501c3. It's called Audio Theater for Our Troops. And it's basically a way for myself, for the rest of the voiceover community, for the rest of the Hollywood and the Broadway communities even, to give back to these brave men and women who were there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether they're on the front lines in Afghanistan and Iraq, or they're serving under the ocean in a submarine in the Pacific. Sometimes we can't take weeks at a time out to go on a tour and say hello, but we can go into a studio and record something and send that out. And anybody's got an iPod or any other MP3 player, they know that audio takes up a lot less space than video. So from a delivery standpoint, we can get them a lot more material and entertainment. And there's also another thing that I'm sure you and your listeners know about. When you're watching a movie at home, out of your peripheral vision, you still see you're at home. It's not the same as going to the movies where you see the picture and it's almost all-encompassing. Well, when these men and women are off and seeing a movie on the base, they look around and they still see the base. But when you listen to something, you have that chance to close your eyes and let the audio really take your imagination away. It's that immersive quality. And if only for a second or two, if we can help them not be there, then we've certainly done what we want to do. But getting back to what you were originally saying about playing a hero, it's one thing to play a hero, but it's another thing to be a hero. I live down the street from a firehouse, and I try to bring those folks old DVDs that I have that I'm not watching anymore, so at least they can watch them there,
Well, I will say that's really, wonderful of you to do, and I did love how passionate that was when you were talking about it, and hopefully, a lot of our listeners will check that out to find more information.
Well, thank you. We're still developing our website, but of course, anytime anybody comes to see me at a convention, everything we take in at the convention goes to that nonprofit, and we actually give tax-deductible receipts. So you not only get a chance to hopefully hear some cool stories and you get the chance to chat, but you do get the chance to support us supporting our troops.
Well, that's really good, and everybody likes tax-deductible stuff. But
exactly. By the way, the name of the show is Mr. Belvedere, so you can stop writing in. It was Mr. Belvedere. That was the British butler that was given to the American family. Okay, now I can relax.
Yes. We'll get you a nice drink in the meantime. With a little umbrella. But I would like to say on the topic of superheroes, when you were a little kid, was
yes.
Optimus Prime one of your superheroes?
Well, unfortunately, not to shadow the image, but by the time Optimus Prime was created, I wasn't really a kid anymore. I was in high school. But I will tell you, one of the reasons that I got the role when I did was because Peter Cullen's voice and his original character rang so clearly in my head. Not being a huge fan, I still knew what he did. That's how good he was. And that's how good he still is. I wanted to go see the movie. I watched the show every now and then, but I wasn't a huge fan. When I was a kid, I would probably say I was more of a DC Heroes fan. I was more of a Superman, Batman kind of a guy, pretty straight-laced,
Well, at the same time, they still have their awesome powers too. So, as long as you can look up to a great Superman or superhero guy, then you're all set.
Absolutely, no. Every Saturday, I was plopped in front of the TV watching Super Friends. I mean, that was my thing, and a little Hong Kong Phooey. There you go.
Sounds like a plan. And for everybody out there, stay tuned. We're going to take a very short break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about StarCraft 2. So keep it tuned to your favorite station, 91.8 Fan. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
Yay! I'm also happy because Elmo just bought a new video game from GameTagStores.com, and it was for cheap! Yay! Elmo is so happy that he got his new games for almost free! Yay! It's so much better than that other game store I go to that Elmo can't say because Mr. Noodle will hurt me if I do. Yay! My new game! Mr. Noodle's scary.
Hey everyone. everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 Fan. I'm still Kana, you're still in my corner, and I still have Neil here.
Hey.
And actually, we were talking about this, we were going to start off with this, but we kind of got off subject. You recently worked on StarCraft 2, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And interestingly enough, it looks like they chose today to announce the release date for the game. And if you go to their website, StarCraft2.com, you'll see that it looks like July 27th, 2010.
Now, I'm curious, are you able to tell us anything about your character or, the game or the story or anything at all?
Well, I can tell you a little bit. I certainly can tell you because the prequel book, Heaven's Devils, is on the market right now, and as a matter of fact, they're putting up chapter by chapter the book on Blizzard.com. So I certainly can tell you what happens in the book because that's already been released. And interestingly enough, the audiobook was read by yours truly, and I had a blast doing it. I had so much fun. It's really a fun story. It's an origin story that introduces us to a teenage Jim Raynor, who of course is the hero in the StarCraft universe in both games 1 and 2. And it also introduces us to Tychus Finley, who is in the Confederate Marine Corps at the time. Tychus is he's a big guy. He's an interesting guy. He's he's about 6'8", 380 pounds. He's not exactly a little feller. And
sounds like he could kill me.
He could do a lot of things, but he wouldn't. He would only usually opt for whatever's in his best interest at the time. He's a rogue. He's a reluctant hero, and he plays I'm not exactly sure what sort of pivotal role he plays in the StarCraft universe because that's a big game. The script of that game is awfully huge, and I can't pretend to tell you what happens there, even if they would let me. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and Blizzard is a company that I think all their fans knows how to do gaming the right way, and they know how to tell a story, and they certainly know how to build a visual universe. I can still remember occasions where they would show me some of the footage, and I'd get goosebumps. Just the fact that I was on such a talented team. When you look at the work that Chris and Sam Wise are leading over there, it's just mind blowing, and I'm so glad that I was a part of that team. And the fact that the character became inspirational enough to have, almost become the icon of the game. I think if you go to Blizzard.com or StarCraft2.com, you're going to see Tychus Finley's face all over the place. And he's a complex cat. He's a pretty cool customer, and we'll see what the future brings with the release of the game and where that takes him and what might happen in the future. But for now, Heaven's Devils is a pretty cool book about how they were in the Confederate Marine Corps together, how they met, how they became friends, how they got a group of roguish characters together, mercenary types that were coming known as Heaven's Devils. It's weird because I say these are characters we're going to come to know and love. A lot of the fans may have seen the picture, which is on the website, but those are the characters that are introduced in Heaven's Devils and perhaps are involved with StarCraft 2. But it looks like it's going to be a StarCraft summer. I'm looking forward to it.
That's pretty monstrous. I've played the original game, and I know there's so many people waiting for this one because they keep pushing it back and pushing it back. So many people are just sitting in their seats like, ee.
Well, my brother is another one of those millions of StarCraft players and fans. He's been playing it for a decade, and I can remember I was one of those people that would watch him play. You know, I mean, it's that good a game where you can sit back and watch people play the game. That's just phenomenal. You know, when you think about it, that watching somebody play a video game is entertaining enough on its own. And so what I have seen and what I've heard and what I can tell you is this game takes that exact same fun gameplay and depth of character and story and just takes it that much further. You know,
well, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm sure.
It's okay.
I'm sure our listeners would love to, spot you out of the crowd with their awesome listening ears, and then send you loving emails about how awesome the game is.
Well, look forward to it. I've got my fan page on Facebook, which everybody is welcome to join. I do keep in constant contact there. When I get information, I pass it along, whether it's about an appearance or it's about fundraising for audio theater for our troops, or it's about any information about a game I'm working on or an animated project. And when they allow me to release that information, I happily do it there. Also, my website is kneecap.net, and I know I need to update it, but we're working on it.
Yeah, I did give you a little slack for that at the beginning. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I understand and I agree, but we'll get cracking on that. Trust me. I wanted to, I'm kind of torn when I work on something as huge as StarCraft, not only in the world of gaming, but also in my career. I mean, this is quite possibly my favorite character I've ever gotten the chance to play. He's that complex, he's that fun, and he's that different from myself. I loved when I got the role of Optimus Prime and people thought that it was going to be Optimus Prime transform, and they were all worried. They literally thought it was going to be, oh no, Hawkmon is Optimus Prime, no! And so people saw me at BlizzCon, and I read the blogs from around the world. This scrawny guy can't be Tychus Finley. And then you pull up the mic and you say, hell, it's about damn time. And they go, okay, maybe that scrawny guy is Tychus Finley, And so I enjoyed those little, those. I'm not even thinking of the word. when it doesn't equate, when things don't quite equate for the fan as far as the look and the sound, I love that sort of situation, where people are surprised. Because that's why I got into this game, because I can do stuff like that, and I love to do it.
Well, I will say that voice was rather scary, and I can totally picture him in the StarCraft universe.
Well, thank you, and I hope you'll drop me an email, let me know how you're liking it after you start playing in July. Oh,
definitely. I think a lot of people in our chat have already found your Facebook and are sending you friend requests or likes, depending. But well,
I should say, if you don't mind, I prefer that you join the fan page, that you go ahead and like me there, and I promise I'll keep in touch. But as far as becoming a friend, I'm really trying to keep that to people who are friends and family, because on occasion I do have my strong opinions, and occasionally there are of an occasional political nature or religious nature, or something that might be offensive to people who don't agree. And that's fine, and that's where fandom comes into play, because I don't bring that there. But I really try to keep my personal page personal, and I hope that fans will understand. And now there are certain people who have started off as fans and I've gotten to know, and we become friendly. I'm not a snob, I'm not a hermit, and I become friendly with fans, and then I do consider them friends, not just fans. But I hope people will understand that maybe they can start off as a fan, and if friendship is in the cards, so be it. Now that doesn't, and certainly I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody on the convention circuit who's friendlier than I am. because I really do try to live my life by the golden rule, and that includes when I'm at conventions, and that is treat people the way you want to be treated. People bring things for me to sign. I don't just put my name and send them off. I write a little note. I try to have a little chat, even if it's busy, because, everybody's time is valuable. And I just think there's a nicer way to treat people and a more respectful way to treat people, but I also ask for that in return.
Well, I must say that's really admirable, and I'm sure all of our fans will understand that, too, to find your fan page and everything, so I think they'll be okay. And if they whine about it, I'll just smack them. I am wondering, though, do you have any conventions that you're going to this year?
Well, I just got back from the Flood of the Century in Nashville, Tennessee this last weekend at MTAC. But at this moment, the only other conventions that I have lined up that I'm allowed to announce are AdventureCon, which is back in Tennessee. It's in Pigeon Forge, and that's going to be Memorial Day weekend. And I will be at San Diego Comic-Con. And, of course, San Diego Comic-Con is the last convention before the release of StarCraft. So we'll see what happens after that.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've got something international which is pending, looking like September. So for more information, come on over to the fan page, and as soon as we're able to announce that, I'll let you know.
And I'm wondering, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
When you go to a convention, just remember, be nice to each other, be nice to the guests. I realize that some of us may voice characters that you don't like, but we're people. You don't need to come up to us and tell us you don't like us just because of what we play. It's all in good fun. We're trying to enjoy the work. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. Just kind of be nice to each other. Remember that when you're at a convention, when you're at a hotel, some people aren't there at the convention, and be nice to them too. At the same time, I gotta tell you, when I see people hassling, cosplayers or fans, I'm not a big fan of that either. I just kind of like to live and let live. Leave each other alone. Let everybody have a good time, not at anybody else's expense. It's really easy to do. And,
I can definitely agree with that, too.
Cool. One of the things I like to say is, look, who's sillier, the person who dresses up in a furry costume, the person who dresses up as a cartoon character, or the 45-year-old man who's 65 pounds overweight wearing a Kobe Bryant basketball jersey? I think they're all rowing in the same boat. They're all fans of something, and that's okay. And fans should let fans be fans of whatever they want to be fans of.
Oh, definitely. I agree. And I think, that's a lot of what people should take in, because there are a lot of anime fans who don't want to cosplay because they feel too timid due to reactions of some people. And then there are other people who look at, cosplayers or at the convention circuit, and they're just like, what's going on? These people are freaks.
Yeah, and you know what? We are. So what? Move on.
Exactly.
Everybody is in their own little way. Some people are freaks for collectible symbols. Some people are freaks for Hummel figurines. Some people are freaks for chandeliers, and some people are freaks for animated projects from overseas. Live and let live. It's a small planet. We don't have a lot of time here. Let's just do what we can to enjoy it. And getting back to that small planet thing, guys, gals, there are trash cans all over the convention hall. You don't have to leave your stuff on the floor. I think that's enough.
Yes, I can agree. Also bathe, please.
I wasn't going to get into that one. I'll leave that one up to you. Because sometimes when you're sleeping 12 to a room, it can get a little tough to get that in the schedule. But when you've unwrapped your Pocky, when you've finished it, please place the empty receptacle in the trash. You know, the promoters that put on these shows work really hard to bring you guys a great show and to bring you as many different guests and as many different options as is possible so you can have as good a time as you can. The least you can do is respect their hard work and don't get them kicked out of that hotel. Don't get them kicked out of that convention center. Be nice, be respectful, and you'll get you'll get a great reputation. You know, this weekend during the flood, the fans were as good as can be. You know, and the hotel was overrun with people and dealing with things as best they could, and the hotel appreciated that the fans were understanding and the fans were friendly and fans were respectful. And, you know, considering what we were going through, it could have been really bad, but everybody did such a great job of understanding the limitations of what the weather was dealing us. You know, I mean, heck, what was the worst thing that was happening? They were stuck in a hotel with people that felt the same way as they did. That doesn't sound so bad.
Well, luckily you came back in one piece.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really happy about that. I love going to conventions. I love meeting fans, but ultimately, all I really care about is coming home to the woman I love, safe and sound.
And I am wondering, though, before we let you go, if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Well, I suppose. Put me on the spot. Sure, what you need.
we do put people on the spot because we do this live, so if there's any bloopers, they get to hear it. But don't worry, we'll love you anyway. But we ask everybody who comes on, whether they're a voice actor or not, if they'd be willing to do a bump for us, a.k.a. say a line for us.
Sure. I suppose that'll be all right.
We were wondering if you could say, my name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay. My name is...
I think you're writing it down, eh?
Yeah. 98.1, 91.8,
91.8. 91.8 The Fan.
All right. I'm going to do exactly as I'm told.
Oh,
my name is...
You're supposed to fill in your name and what you do.
No, you didn't say that. No. You're going to get the take you asked for, young lady. Yeah, I love how you caught me. I love how you caught me while I was in the midst of it, but tough luck. You're stuck with it. This is what you asked for.
Oh.
My name is... I do... And you're listening to 91.8 The Fan. Now transform and roll out. You kind of stuck with it.
That was very nice, though, despite the fact you didn't put what your name was.
That's not what you said. You know, it's an old joke. You know, I state your name. I state your name. All righty, here you go. I'll give you another one. This is Neil Kaplan. You might know me as Tychus Finley on StarCraft 2. And you are listening to 91.8, The Fan.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for joining us. And we'll make sure to like your Facebook page and stalk you like a hawk in a very non-threatening way.
Ooh, and I look forward to it. And like I said, after you play some StarCraft, you got to send me a note and tell me how awesome it is.
We will make sure to. And for everybody out there, if you missed any of this interview, shame on you. It'll be up on the website in the next few days. And thank you so much, Neil, for joining the show.
My pleasure. Thank you. And as soon as we have our website up for audio theater for our troops, I'll let you and your fans know how they can participate. Even $1 makes a difference. Every dollar helps to say thank you to them and give them the entertainment they so richly deserve.
Wonderful stuff. And you're listening to 91.8 Fan, everything you want, nothing you don't.